Have you ever noticed how the world glorifies traveling? Everywhere you look, people are posting photos of mountains, beaches, airports, and sunsets, saying things like, "You only live once," or "The world is meant to be explored." It's almost as if happiness has been redefined as being constantly in motion, always chasing the next destination, the next escape, the next story to tell. But what if you don't feel that way? What if the idea of packing bags, catching flights, and living out a suitcase doesn't excite you, it exhausts you? What if the quiet comfort of your own space feels more freeing than 1,000 miles of adventure? If that sounds like you, stay with me to the end of this video, because what you're about to discover might change the way you see yourself and the way you see the world. You see, not everyone is built to crave movement. Some souls find their peace not in new places, but in familiar ones, not in airports, but in morning routines, not in the thrill of the unknown, but in the gentle rhythm of what they already know. And that doesn't make them dull, boring, or afraid. It makes them deeply self-aware. Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds of psychology, believed that our personalities are guided by something deeper, an inner compass. For some, that compass points outward toward exploration, but for others it points inward, toward reflection, depth, and peace. So if you've ever felt like you don't fit into a world obsessed with traveling, don't go anywhere. Watch till the very end, because we're about to explore why your stillness isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And before we dive deeper, take a second to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Because if you're drawn to topics like this, self-awareness, psychology, and the wisdom of Carl Jung, you belong here. This space is made for deep thinkers like you that I end today's world. Travel has become more than a hobby. It's a status symbol. People say things like travel broadens the mind, or if you haven't seen the world, you haven't lived. But that creates a subtle pressure, a belief that if you're not constantly on the move, you're missing out on life itself. Scroll through social media and you'll see it everywhere. People posing on cliffs, sipping coffee in Paris, tagging exotic locations, captioning their photos with words like freedom, wanderlust, or adventure. It's beautiful, yes, but beneath it all, there's an unspoken message. Stillness equals stagnation. And yet, not everyone feels that thrill. Some people don't feel alive on airplanes or in strange hotels. They feel anxious, overstimulated, even disconnected. For them, too much newness isn't freeing. It's overwhelming. Their minds crave depth, not novelty. Carl Jung explained this beautifully when he spoke about personality types. He said some people are naturally extroverted. They gain energy from external experiences, like meeting new people and exploring new environments. But others are introverted. They recharge from within. They need stillness, familiarity, and solitude to stay balanced. So while the world celebrates movement, introverted or reflective souls often find meaning in stillness. For them, peace isn't found in airports. It's found in quiet corners, deep thoughts, and slow mornings. And that's what this video is really about, understanding the psychology behind that feeling. So don't click away yet, stay till the end, because we're going to uncover why not wanting to travel doesn't make you any less alive. In fact, it might mean you're already deeply connected to your inner world. If you're enjoying this so far, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. It really helps this community of thoughtful souls grow. Every time you click that button, you're helping bring more calm, insight, and self-awareness into a noisy world. Now let's turn the camera inward into the quiet, beautiful mind of someone who doesn't crave constant travel. While others chase new landscapes, these souls find meaning in the familiar. They wake up to the same sunlight touching the same corner of their room, and it still feels sacred. They notice how the air shifts with the seasons, how the neighborhood sounds different after rain, how a cup of tea can taste slightly new every morning. To them, repetition isn't boring, it's grounding. There's a rhythm in routine, a poetry in predictability. They don't need distant mountains to feel awe. They find wonder in the way light falls through curtains, or how a single thought can open into an entire universe. You see, these people don't seek excitement, they seek meaning. While others collect places, they collect perspectives. Their curiosity turns inward toward the landscape of their own mind. Every reflection, every realization, every shift in awareness is a kind of inner travel, a journey through their own consciousness. Carl Jung called this inner exploration the journey of individuation, the lifelong process of becoming who you truly are. He believed that some of the deepest travels happen not through miles, but through the psyche. When you dive into your dreams, confront your shadows, and discover your true essence beneath the surface. So while the world may see the non-traveler as static, they might actually be the ones moving in the most profound way. Not outward, but inward. Their passport is introspection. Their destination is self-understanding. If this resonates with you, if you've ever felt misunderstood for loving your stillness, stay with me, because what we're exploring next may change the way you see yourself completely. And hey, if you haven't yet, take a moment to subscribe for more psychology-based reflections like this. Your presence here helps this community of deep thinkers grow. And trust me, you're in the right place. That there's a common misconception about people who don't like to travel, that they're afraid of planes, of new faces, of getting lost, of leaving their comfort zone. But here's the truth. Most of the time, it's not fear. It's awareness. They understand their own energy. They know how much stimulation they can handle before it becomes too much. They know that unfamiliar environments, the noise, the unpredictability, the constant motion, can feel draining rather than exciting. And rather than forcing themselves into discomfort, they honor that sensitivity. Carl Jung described this as the psyche's natural form of self-protection. Everyone's inner system has its limits. Some people thrive on novelty, it feeds them. Others, however, have finely tuned emotional systems that crave harmony. For them, too much change feels like noise. Predictability isn't a cage, it's calm. Think about it. Have you ever come back from a trip feeling more exhausted than refreshed? Not physically tired, but mentally? That fog, that emptiness, that subtle anxiety you feel after too much movement, that's your psyche signaling that it needs grounding. So no, avoiding travel isn't avoidance of life. It's emotional intelligence. It's knowing your boundaries, knowing where your peace lives, and respecting it. In a world that glorifies chaos and constant novelty, choosing stability is an act of strength, not fear. Stay with me till the end, because next we'll explore how this quiet awareness connects to something much deeper in Jungian psychology, the idea of the shadow self. And if you're still watching, take a second to like this video and subscribe. It's a small click that helps this message reach the people who need to hear it most. There's a difference between people who collect places and those who collect insights. Some people move through life checking destinations off a list, photos, postcards, souvenirs, but rarely pause long enough to feel what those places mean. It's not wrong, but it's fast. It's surface-level exploration. Meanwhile, others, the ones who don't crave constant travel, move through the world differently. They might not have stamps on their passports, but they have galaxies within their thoughts. To them, a quiet morning walk in their own neighborhood can feel more profound than a flight across the ocean. They notice how the sky changes its shade of blue, how a familiar path feels new when the air smells like rain. Carl Jung might say, these are people whose sensing and intuitive functions work in harmony. They see not just what's in front of them, but what lies within it. They perceive the soul behind things, the emotion behind moments. Their awareness turns the ordinary into something extraordinary. While others chase horizons, they explore the corners of their own souls. While some seek freedom through movement, they find it through stillness. For them, life is not a checklist. It's a meditation. They don't need 1,000 experiences to feel alive. They need one experience felt deeply. That's the depth over distance mindset, where the value of a moment is measured not by how far you go, but by how present you are. So if you've ever felt guilty for not wanting to travel the world, release the guilt. You are still an explorer, just of a different kind. The inner landscape is just as vast, and your journey through it matters just as much. If this speaks to you, stay with me, because we're about to dive into why this stillness connects to your very energy flow. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. It helps us keep sharing these Jung-inspired reflections about who you truly are beneath the surface. Now let's talk about energy, not the kind that powers machines, but the kind that fuels the human spirit. If you're introverted, you already know this truth deep down. Every sound, every environment, every interaction costs energy. Airports, crowds, foreign streets, they may look exciting, but for an introverted psyche, They can feel like emotional storms. Each new face, each change of setting, pulls energy outward, and that constant drain leaves little room for inner peace. Carl Jung described this beautifully in his theory of psychic energy flow. Extroverts project their energy outward, toward people, places, and activity. They gain energy through engagement. Introverts, on the other hand, move in the opposite direction. Their energy flows inward. They gain strength through solitude, reflection, and quiet understanding. So when introverts travel too much or stay in constantly changing environments, it can feel like swimming against the current. It's not that they dislike the world. They just need a safe harbor before they sail again. For many, that harbor is home. It's the place where energy resets, thoughts deepen, and the self reconnects. Home isn't just where they live. It's where they return to themselves. So the next time someone calls you boring or unadventurous for preferring stillness, remember this. You're not running away from life. You're staying close to your natural rhythm. And you're not alone. Many reflective souls are wired the same way. Stay with me till the end. Because next we'll uncover how this love for stillness and inner grounding can actually become a path to spiritual growth. And before we go on, don't forget to subscribe. It's free, it supports this channel, and it keeps this growing community of deep thinkers connected. There's something profoundly healing about familiarity. The way morning light filters through the same window, the quiet hum of the same street, the smell of coffee brewed in the same cup. These simple consistencies create a sense of safety that the soul quietly depends on. In psychology, this isn't monotony, it's regulation. Routine forms a rhythm that soothes the nervous system. When life feels uncertain, these familiar anchors remind you that not everything changes. Some things stay steady, and that steadiness becomes your peace. People who don't enjoy traveling often form emotional bonds with their surroundings. Their home, their favorite chair, their neighborhood. These aren't just physical spaces. They're emotional maps. Each sound, each scent carries meaning. They don't crave constant novelty because they find richness in what's already around them. Carl Jung spoke about the need for rootedness, the soul's desire to belong somewhere deeply, to feel connected to a symbolic home where the unconscious mind can safely open itself. For some, this sacred place exists not in distant lands, but in the comfort of their daily environment. So when others see them as stuck or stagnant, they're actually grounded, centered in a world that constantly tries to pull them away from themselves. They may not collect passport stamps, but they collect something more valuable: emotional memories, inner peace, and self-understanding. And if this reflection speaks to your heart, take a second to subscribe. Because in this space, we explore the quiet power of inner journeys, depth, and Jung's timeless wisdom. Stay with me to the end. The next part reveals why staying still might actually mean you've already found what so many are still searching for in today's world. Travel is often seen as a cure for stress, confusion, heartbreak, or boredom. People say, I need a trip to clear my mind, or I just need to get away. But what if escape isn't always the answer? Many who dislike traveling aren't afraid of movement. They're simply not running from themselves. They don't need distance to find perspective, because they already face their reality fully. They live with their emotions, their thoughts, their truth, without distraction. Carl Jung called this process integration, the ability to face your inner world, including your shadow, instead of avoiding it. While others might chase new places to feel new emotions, these individuals sit quietly and feel what's already within them. In a culture that glorifies busyness and escape, stillness becomes an act of quiet rebellion. Choosing not to run, not to distract, not to constantly seek elsewhere. That's real courage. They understand something profound. When you stop running, you stop scattering your energy. You gather it back. You become whole again. So perhaps you don't need to go anywhere to find yourself. Maybe what you're searching for isn't waiting in another city or another country. Maybe it's been inside you all along, waiting for stillness. If that resonates, keep watching to the end, because next we'll uncover the deep psychology of meaning behind staying still. And before we continue, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell. It keeps this circle of thoughtful, grounded minds growing together. There comes a point when stillness stops feeling like standing still and starts feeling like growing roots. Those who choose not to travel outward often travel inward, deep into their own awareness. while others measure life by distance. They measure it by depth. Every quiet morning, every thoughtful pause, every long evening of reflection becomes part of their evolution. Carl Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming your truest self. It's not about escaping into the world. It's about returning to your inner world and discovering what has always been waiting there. Solitude becomes the mirror of the soul, reflecting the parts of you that travel and noise can easily drown out. They may not explore countries, but they explore consciousness. They travel through memories, emotions, ideas, art, and dreams, places that exist beyond the physical world. In their stillness, they begin to see the subtle patterns of life, the rhythm of thought, and the whispers of intuition. Some of the greatest spiritual teachers, Carl Jung, Henry David Thoreau, Rumi, all found wisdom not in movement, but in stillness. Thoreau sat by a quiet lake. Jung built his retreat at Bollingen Tower, where he listened to the silence of his own mind. Rumi found infinite worlds inside the turning of his heart. So, the next time someone tells you that you need to travel to grow, remember, growth doesn't always require motion. Sometimes it simply requires awareness. If you're still with me, take a deep breath and subscribe, because in this channel we honor inner journeys, not just outer ones. Stay with me to the end, because what comes next reveals how Jung saw these two journeys, and why only one leads to true wholeness. Carl Jung believed that every human being lives two parallel journeys. The first is the outer journey, the one the world celebrates: travel, adventure, ambition, experience. The second is the inner journey, the quiet pilgrimage into self, where we learn to understand our thoughts, emotions, dreams, and purpose. In today's world, the outer journey gets all the attention. We're told that fulfillment comes from seeing the world, from chasing novelty, from adding more to our lives. But Jung believed the true purpose of existence lies in the inner journey, in learning who we are beneath all those layers of experience. Those who dislike traveling often live this second journey instinctively. While others rush to see new places, they slow down to see themselves. They don't chase landscapes, they chase meaning. They don't seek new skies, they seek inner light. Their curiosity isn't about geography, it's about consciousness. They pay attention to dream symbols and recurring patterns. They explore why they feel what they feel. They connect deeply with their unconscious, the hidden world within that Jung spent his life studying. And through this exploration, they begin to integrate their shadow, their desires, their fears, until they reach something pure and whole, the self. That, Jung said, is the real adventure, the one that leads to self-realization. Because even if you've crossed every border on earth, it means little if you've never crossed the borders within yourself. So, when someone prefers stillness over travel, maybe they're not missing out on life. Maybe they're living the most profound journey of all, the journey home to themselves. If that truth resonates, don't forget to subscribe, like, and stay to the very end, because the final part will bring everything together in one powerful reflection: how stillness, solitude, and self-awareness can become your greatest adventure.